In this video, we're talking about some advanced jazz up-tempo piano lines. And in the last video, we started to dive into this really fast 200 beats per minute to 240 beats per minute phraseology for piano players. And I started by writing out a few ideas and then playing the tune for you. We're working on the tune Street Culture, which is one of my own tunes. And a little bit later on, I'm going to post a link to the sheet music and the backing track so that you can play along with that and learn a little bit more about the feel when it comes to these up-tempo tunes. Because obviously, I think the idea is not to just play random things. You want to obviously put some purpose and some generally great phraseology in your playing. And that's what we're really talking about here. So in the last video, if you take a look at the screen, we talked about the left hand playing these McCoy Tyner voicings, which is fifth and then fourth. And then the right hand along with that, the first phrase that we came up with was all right, and that's really based on pentatonic scale. So what I want to talk about now is mixing it up, because what you don't want to do is just continue all day long with those lines that pianists always play, like this. It just gets really boring after a while, in fact, very quickly. So you want to stay away from just playing the same things over and over again. So what I would like to introduce to you is maybe a few more ideas that you can do in conjunction with this. So obviously you have access to the bebop scales, and if you check out other tutorials in my channel, Jazzmentl, you can see some examples of those bebop scales. In fact, I have lots of videos on that. But right now, I think what I want to do is just kind of give you this sense of creating longer phrases that sort of don't just use eighth notes, but use 16th notes and triplets and things like that. So the first thing is, in another phrase, you might want to say, okay, let's start with a triplet like this. And again, I'm really just sort of randomly putting in triplets. Actually, so that would be an F sharp. And then the destination would be G, and then go up there, and then down. So you can't really think of it in terms of triplets. What I want to introduce to you is this concept of putting in more notes to get to a destination. So if the destination note is G, okay, so that's just one idea. So thinking about approaching this destination with a bunch of notes that are not necessarily on the beat. One. Okay, another idea to kind of play on top of that is once you've got an idea going, try and repeat that idea in different notes of the scale. So let's just throw in like this. So again, I'm having to practice what I write on the screen. So I think the idea here is we're sticking to the key. There's not a lot of accidentals, but we're just building on phrases that repeat themselves, like these ostinato phrases. And I think that's the idea you need to get used to when playing up-tempo tunes. It's going to be really hard to play just bebop scales and things like that because, well, it might be easy, but it's not going to sound great. It's hard to make it sound great by just using scales. And it gets really boring, so you want to mix it up. Okay, so keeping the phrases going. And then it switches to C minor. So again, we're really talking about 24-bar blues here, just 12 bars doubled because it is in halftime. So then we get to the C minor chord. You can continue that pattern that we just did. And of course, the idea would be to not just continue that phrase all day, but pick up on a new one. I think that's the whole idea of soloing, is to try to be very purposeful about the music within a single phrase. So then I might switch to an idea where we're getting back into bebop. So maybe and then let's just play a C minor chord here. And let's throw a little bebop in there where you're getting to a destination note, which is the G. So we're going to play F sharp under the G. To A flat, F sharp again, and then G. So you hear me do that quite a bit. If it sounds a little bit like these are random ideas, I think that's kind of the whole point of soloing. Most soloing at a certain point just becomes your fingers picking up on riffs and patterns and licks that sort of fit together. And so what I'm doing is I'm attempting to give you some ideas that are coming out of my head in the moment. So one more time on the C minor chord. And let's keep the pattern going in the next bar. And let's do something else. So you'll notice that I'm starting on the and of one sometimes. You can start on the beat. It's just I'm trying to give you some added ideas rather than always just starting on the beat. So let's go here to the next bar and let's think up another idea. So one of the things you might want to use is force, just like we do in the left hand, except we're going to arpeggiate them. Okay, so a line like this. Now, again, that's something that if you overuse that, it's gonna kind of single you out as someone who can't come up with original ideas. And that's, again, the whole point of soloing is a bunch of original ideas. But again, if you're just sort of getting into up-tempo things, that's one that's gonna sit underneath the fingers pretty well. And all I'm doing is right out of the C minor scale, just separating things by force. And just in the left hand, if you're just playing the same force, okay, so there's a few more ideas for playing up tempos. I'm going to play this tune, Street Culture, for you with bass and drums. I'm going to play the head and then some soloing. Listen to the solo and pick out a time in the solo that you might want to focus on and say, hey, Paul, what are you doing here? And I'll definitely circle back with you and make a video about that as well. Okay, so let me play it for you and then I'll come back, post a link to the sheet music and the backing track. Okay, so there is Street Culture. I hope you like it. If you want to download it, I'll put a link up here in the corner. It comes with the sheet music and the backing track so you can practice it. Definitely is up-tempo. If you follow along these tutorials and you follow along with that backing track and practice a lot, you'll get to the point where it'll start to feel really good underneath your fingers. I think that's kind of the hard part, is getting your fingers to move that quickly, but also coming up with patterns and music that makes sense while you're doing it. Okay, if you like this video, simply give it a thumbs up. That would be awesome. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, that'd be great. Just hit the little bell when you do, because you'll be notified of all the upcoming videos that we're making. Thanks so much for your time, and I'll see you in another video here on Jazzmentl.